Hello, everyone. Hello. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is the YIC online workshop. So, welcome to all the participants. And we have 4 sessions today. The first session is on the introduction to ASTI and YIC. So, after the session, you can ask your questions. And the speaker is Mr. Tan Che Hao. And the second section will be on the problem identification by Dr. Muhammad Yunus Yassin. The third part will be covered by Dr. Loh Lee Hen on project planning and project management. And the last part will be by Dr. Nurain Salehin on writing a winning proposal, do's and don'ts, and followed by the Q&A session. So to start with today's online workshop, I would like to invite Mr. Tan Che Hao, for the first presentation. Over to you, sir.
Hi, thank you very much, Juanita. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you guys doing? I hope school has been good to you today. For those who are here for the first time, welcome. And for those who are returning for more innovation this year, welcome back. I hope to see more interesting innovations this year. Before we start, today my topic is a little bit about ASTI and the YIC, the Young Inventors Challenge itself, right? So as many of you know, ASTI is the Association of Science, Technology and Innovation, and one of its main goals is to inculcate and to promote science, technology and innovation from school levels all the way up, right? Can I have the next page? Thank you. So in that regards, ASTI has been promoting YIC, and if you can see the introduction here, the YIC, the Young Inventors Challenge, was introduced in 2013, and throughout the years, we have been seeing remarkable participations by students. And what is the Young Inventors Challenge? The Young Inventors Challenge aims to encourage secondary school students between the age of 13 to 17 to experience the merits of teamwork firsthand, and then to find innovative solutions to everyday science-related problems. So every year, ASTI would invite secondary school students in Malaysia and also other countries, primarily the ASEAN countries. And as we have progressed over the years, we have started to see other countries participating, from China, India, Sri Lanka, and even the United Kingdoms. Therefore, the proposals that I received from you are reviewed and shortlisted by a group of judges. And then from there, the shortlisted teams then undergo ASTI's in-house online training. The young inventors are then given about 4 months to develop their projects, after which they are invited to exhibit their work at the grand finale. Next. So just for your information, throughout the years, these are the achievements that the competition, the Young Inventors Challenge, have successfully garnered, right? Earlier I mentioned, so these are the other countries that we normally see: Philippines, Thailand, Indonesia, Singapore, Brunei, Vietnam, Timor-Leste, India, and China. In 2017 to 2023, sorry, teams, could you keep your audio to silent, and we can always answer your question during the Q&A session. So in 2017 to 2023, the Young Inventors Challenge received international recognition from the Malaysian Ministry of Education. And also throughout the years, they have gone into the media, whether it's national or international. And in 2019, the Young Inventors Challenge was shortlisted from over 1,500 education projects from around the world to participate in the conference and competition called Reimagining Education, which was held in London. And was organized by the respected rating agency QS International. YIC was also recognized as a top 10 projects run by an alumni of the International Visitors Leadership Program conducted by the US State Department. So I think for all of you who are going to participate in this challenge, so what is the aims and objective of the Young Inventors Challenge? Number one, to give opportunities to young adults who are inventive to promote their ideas to the outside world. Number two, to train and give an opportunity to young inventors to develop and showcase their invention. And number three, to help young inventors experience the inventive cycle from conceptualization to product or prototype. And I think this year is rather special to us because this year will be the first year where we'll be returning to the physical format during the final pitching session. So I would love to see the participation of the finalists, when we come to that, and see how you engage with your peers, right? And then maybe, you rub off each other and get more innovation out of that. Next. So this is the history of YIC, the teams that we have had, and the growth that we have seen throughout the years. As you can see, the Sustainable Development Goals have been in place since 2019. And this year's theme is still Sustainable Development Goals because the committee members feel that, this is the way to go. Sustainable Development Goals are still important to us, and we would love to see, the innovations coming out from the high school levels from you guys. So as you can see, from year 2013, from 12 teams, we have had the participation of up to 155 teams this year. So far, based on the Secretariat's update, we have surpassed the number to about 72 teams so far. Of course, we are halfway through the deadline, right? And I'm hoping that I would like to see more participation from more teams. So if it's possible, if you have any friends, from your school or anything who would still like to participate in this event, it's not too late. We still have the time. And I hope you can also encourage them, to perhaps join you in this journey of innovation. Next. So I think these are the important dates that all of us need to remember, right? These are the processes and the dates that you need to remember. So team registration and proposal submission is opened all the way till the 31st of May 2024. After the deadline, all the proposals will be submitted to the judging panel, in this case led by Dr. Narayan, right? And we'll then go through the marking by the panel. From here, the shortlisted team will then be collected and announced in July by the Secretariat. Next. And then all the teams which submitted the proposal will then be given testimonials based on the feedback from the judges. Moving forward, the shortlisted teams will then be invited to participate in the physical grand finale in Kuala Lumpur. I think for this, the Secretariat will then share the appropriate dates when the time comes closer, right? As the preparation for the grand finale, the shortlisted teams will then continuously go through online trainings, which will be provided by ASTI and also the committee members. And of course, finally, we have the Young Inventors Challenge 2024 grand finale and prize giving ceremony almost at the end of the year. Next. So just for your information, I think this is the one where it's interesting, right? So we always give one platinum award worth 2,500 ringgit, 2 gold awards worth RM 1,500 ringgit, 5 silver awards worth 1,000 ringgit, and 7 bronze award worth 700 ringgit. As I mentioned in the last training, these are the ones that are firm. And should we have any more awards, I mean, this is not a promise, but this depends on the sponsor we're going to get for the Young Mentors Challenge. We may, change or increase more awards depending on the sponsors. Next. So, with that, a very short introduction to the Young Inventors Challenge. Thank you everyone for your time. Now we enter the Q&A session for the first training. Questions, anyone?
Matahimik mag-aasa ko. Hello.
Hi, good evening.
Hello. Good afternoon from the Philippines. I am one of the advisors of the proponents po from the Philippines. And may I ask, how are we going to submit our written proposals? Because on the link that you have given us is just the confirmation as to whether we're going to join or not. Where can we send our proposal?
Uh,
May I? Hi, sir. Panita here. So, in the website, we already updated the link for you to submit the proposal as well. But I will send the link in the group. Have you joined the Telegram group?
Yes, ma'am. We already joined the Telegram
Okay,
group,
so I
and
will send
if
the link there.
you're kind enough, we're going to access now the link that you're going to send on the
Yeah.
Telegram, and then we're
Yes.
going to send all the proposals as per what do you call this one? As per a format you have sent on the website being presented.
Yes. 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 So I will
Thank you
send
very much.
also. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that verification as well.
Thank you so much for your question. Any more questions? I, I think someone's excited with the mic. Maybe you want to ask your question. Anyone?
Any more questions?
Okay, I see some. Hi, Ed. So your question is that this competition does not require us to make a video, right? Yes, I think for this year we will be reverting back to the physical format, and therefore, because I think you are comparing it with the past online competitions that we had, right? The YIC special edition competition. This year is a bit special. We are returning back to the old format, right? And it's a physical session, and therefore, we will not require you to be making a video anymore. Right? Any more questions? All right. Interesting question by Emma. Is there a requirement for the amount of SDG or a recommended amount? Okay, this is a very good question, and this is a mistake that a lot of teams make year in and year out. A lot of teams like to list their SDGs and sometimes provide us, because normally you will realize in the proposal we'll ask you, what is the relevance of your innovation and how is it related to the Sustainable Development Goals. So a lot of teams, sometimes just list down a full range of the SDGs without explaining how the SDG is linked to your innovation. So uh, again, I mentioned earlier, Emma, this is a very good question, and I would recommend that be how should I put it? You do not need to list a lot of the SDGs. I would suggest you to list between 1 to 3 of the SDGs, but you should be concisely able to link the SDGs to your innovation. Okay, thank you so much, Emma. Any more questions? Okay, cool. How many teams will be shortlisted? I, so again, last year, the years before when we were doing the online session, we normally put the range between 120 to 150 because it can be provided online. However, again, as mentioned earlier, this year is special. We are going back to physical, and therefore, the physical requires space, right? Space is limited, and therefore, we can safely say that for the shortlisted teams, we will choose up to 100 teams to go for the final session. Okay, next question by Long. Are we allowed to make apps? Yeah, you are allowed to make apps, but also let me remind you that during if you are shortlisted and during the grand finale, you are supposed to be able to show us the functioning application. Yeah. So sometimes that is the conundrum that teams who are interested to make applications have, right? So yeah, so remind you that during the grand finale, we are able to see your functioning applications. Back to you, Emma. What type of innovations can we do? Can we make an app for a purpose related to SDG? Yes, you can.
I have one here.
Sure.
Hi, sir. When it's come to explaining the themes, do we explain about the SDGs and how it relates to our invention?
Yes. Thank you so much for clarifying. That is exactly what I was trying to say. Thank you so much. Any more questions? I think.
Hi, sir.
Yes. Hi. Hi,
So,
Imran.
hi, I just want to ask, like, do you have any specific location where to hold the grand finale? Or if you don't have, so do you have like any planning to where to have the event?
Okay, right now we have not really finalized where the final location is going to be, but I can confirm with you that it will be held in Kuala Lumpur, definitely in Kuala Lumpur. And I think the secretariat will update as we finalize the venue. Okay, one more questions from Emma. How are we judged for the proposals? What are the criteria and how can we make sure we can get shortlisted? So another good question from Emma. So remember earlier when I mentioned that there will be online trainings, all right? So join us for most of the trainings, online trainings. And I would advise you not to skip on some of the trainings because this segment on how your proposals will be judged and what are the criteria will be answered by the Chief Judge, Dr. Narayan, in the subsequent trainings. Definitely not today, but in the subsequent trainings that are going to come. So stay tuned. Make sure you join our trainings. Okay. One question from Vinis. Vinis, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. I'm sorry if I don't. Hello, sir, and to the participants. Are we getting a certificate of participation even if we are shortlisted? Okay. So the question here is very simple. I think all teams that participate, and if you even if you're not shortlisted, right, and you meet the criteria of the proposals by the judges, you will definitely receive a certificate, right? So, okay. So let me elaborate more here because we have also received many proposals where it's a one-pager or a two-pager with no clear and concise details of the innovation. So normally this kind of teams will not receive their certificate. Hence why I said the proposals need to meet certain criteria, right? Okay, this is a question from Faisal. All teams participating will get an international e-cert or physical. Maybe I can pass this to the secretary to answer.
Okay, in regards to your question, for the certificate for those who are participating for the testing for the proposal submission, we will give you the digit. So you we will give you the digital kind of e-certificate or testimonial. Those who are participating in the physical event and shortlisted for the grand finale, so you will be getting a printed certificate.
Okay, we move on to the next question. This is a very interesting question by Chloe. Yeah. Hi, sir. May I know what are the criteria required for our proposal? Oh, okay, sorry. So as mentioned earlier, please join our training. Dr. Norain, through another special training session, online training session, will explain to you about the criteria of marking, right? Okay, back to the earlier question by Chong. Hi, sir. What kind of SDGs are most recommended to be used? Also, here we will have an online training on each SDG. As you know, currently, right, there are 17 SDGs identified under the UN. And most of the time, based on the experience of the judging, we normally see these common themes arise. Normally, it's the theme, the SDG on no poverty, zero hunger, good wealth and well-being, and sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, life below water, and affordable and clean energy. Normally, these are the themes that we see. Right. So again, my advice would be, actually, there's no clear-cut answer to this, right? It's always linked back to your innovation and how you link it, right? Okay, another question by Natalie. Hi, sir. May I know if we need to make the mock-up for our innovation even before getting shortlisted? No, you don't have to. But you should be able, in the proposal, you should be able to clarify with us, what you will be creating, what's the purpose for, maybe even a bit of a draw up of how your innovation will look like, right? As mentioned, as I'm going to clarify here so that, proposals are proposals, but to judges, sometimes diagrams or pictures will help a lot to ease the understanding of your proposal even further. So maybe that's something that you can also input into your proposal while you're doing it.
Okay, I just would like to add something on the proposal. So we have already released a video on how to write a proposal with all the elements that need to be included. And even the training video one, which I shared with the participants. So it has a detailed explanation on the criteria required for the proposal, which explained by Mr. Cho himself. And you can go through the training videos and get more idea. And for the format, it's already been uploaded in the web page. It's available, and it's a detailed kind of format and which you can follow to complete writing your proposal. And later today, Mr. Dr. Nurain will be covering on what are the things you need to do on do in the proposal to get your proposal shortlisted. What are the mistakes you need to avoid, and what are the things you need to add. So I would say you be here until the 6:30 to get more information regarding the proposal writing guideline as well.
Thank you so much, Vanita. Okay, let me pick up the last two questions before I pass it to our next speaker. So from Caitlin, hi sir, do we have to make a fully functioning model of our innovation or invention, or do we just have to make models that explain how it would roughly work? My advice, and I would say that if you are shortlisted and you need to present at the grand finale, your model or your innovation should be functioning, right? And the last question from Chloe. Hi, sir. For the diagrams in the proposals, are they required to be sketched or detailed diagrams of our invention? Very good question. It can be a sketch, right? A sketch that is understood by the judges, right? Not something you just draw and then You don't give a dimension or anything. You don't explain it. Just a normal application of science, right? You sketch, but if you explain it, how long is it by cm, or what does it do, or what's it, or why do you sketch it? What's the function of it? So I think if you're able to describe those things in within your diagram, that would help a lot, right? So okay, never mind. One last question from Emma. How wide is the range of the themes? Like, if we choose no poverty, we search for causes of poverty and try to address just one aspect. Let's say lack of education. Does that still count as concisely related to the SDG? Yes, it is. That I think this is a good question, because what you're trying to say, that because this your innovation then would probably be also linked to the other SDG, which is quality education, right? But my answer to you is yes. You can, and we like to keep the range of the themes very wide for you. So at the end of the day, it depends on honestly how you explain the relation between your innovation and the SDG. Right. So I think that's the last question. Thank you so much, everyone, for your participation today. I will now pass the floor back to the Secretariat for the next session. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, team, for your participation in your questions. So next session is on problem identification by Dr. Mohammad Yunus Yassin. So I would like to pass it over to Dr. Yunus.
So my name is Yunus. I'm the president of the Association of Science, Technology, Innovation, right? And ASTI was started about 11 years ago. And the whole point of ASTI, Young Inventors Challenge, was to help create inventors, right? So we are not, invention is also important to us, but just as important as your invention, it is also important for us that you become an inventor, right? And to become an inventor, there's this what's called the inventive process, and that is what we are trying to get you through. So as you start this journey today, or in fact, some of you already started this journey, some of the teachers and some of the mentors have already gone through this journey with other students when you have participated in YIC before. You would have known that what we are trying to do is create inventors, and therefore there's all the steps that you have to go through, right? Ending with a working prototype, right? So I think, as what Chair mentioned, what is important to us is you have to have a working prototype, meaning you have to show it to work to solve the particular problem that you have to identify. And we're not looking for some major invention, so to speak. Major invention here means we're not looking at, let's say, the latest EV car or some major, invention which requires a lot of money and stuff like that. But what we're looking for is simple inventions that you can do at your backyard, which solves a particular problem. So I think one of the examples I always like to use is in the second year of YIC, a team came up with an invention with just recycled bottle, scissors, and Velcro, the sticking Velcro thing. That is all they needed. Just these three items, they came up with an invention. And that invention won second prize at YIC. And they went on to go to Seoul, Korea for an Asian-wide big competition on invention. That one was an invention competition. I was the inventor competition. So when they went to Korea for the invention competition, they actually won first prize, right? So just to let you know, so what we are looking for is very simple solutions. You can have Arduino sets, you can have all the different electronics and stuff like that. You can add, but what we are looking at is your solution itself, not all this, latest technology and stuff like that. No, because the latest technology, like an Arduino set, is not you who invented. Somebody else invented. You're just using it. So what we look at is how you use the Arduino set, not the fact that you use the Arduino set, right? Now coming back to this step-by-step invention process, the first step is identifying a problem. Okay, so what is a problem? So I'm going to tell you a story. I think that's much better way to understand how to identify a problem. And this is quite well known in the consulting field. If you one day you become a consultant or an engineering consultant, you would probably know or hear of this story. So there was one particular guy. He is a problem solver, right, in America. And there was this company that had a problem with their factory, and it did not produce what they wanted. So they hired all kinds of people to come and solve the machinery, do the repair the machinery and stuff like that, to make it work the way they wanted to, but they couldn't. So finally, they found one particular guy, and the guy said, "Look, I can solve it, but it's going to cost you $1 million US, right?" And then the factory owners decided, never mind, we'll pay the money because this is an important problem that needs to be solved, right? So the guy goes over to the factory. So they hired him, and this guy, the inventor, problem solver, went to the factory. He looked at the factory. He spent about half a day looking at all the processes and also looking at all the machineries. And then he went to one particular machine, right? And he saw a screw there. He took out the screw and put another screw inside, right? And the minute he put a new screw and he started up the machine, it worked. That means the problem was solved, right? So then he put in his invoice. He said, "Okay, now I've solved your problem. Please give me $1 million US." And of course, the factory owners were not very happy. I say, "Hey, you only changed the screw, right? I mean, how can you charge us $1 million US just to change the screw?" He said, "No. You promised me 1 million." The problem solver said, "You promised me 1 million. You have to pay 1 million." So the owner had no choice, but the owner said, "Okay, I want a detailed breakdown on how you are charging me. So what are the different components? So give me an invoice." So the problem solver / consultant gave the invoice, and in the invoice he said, total amount 1 million. First portion, looking at your equipment and buying the screw, right? Replacing the screw, 5,000 US. Second component, knowing which screw to change, right? 995,000, right? So, and they pay, right? So it's not the screw. So you see, it's not the screw. The screw is very cheap, right? But you must know which screw to change, right? And that is what he charged the company 995,000 for. Not the fact that he needs the screw, because he called all other fellows came. They did not know how to solve the problem. They used all the amazing tools and gadgets and whatever and tried to solve the problem. They couldn't. This guy came, just looked at it, spent about half a day, and then he knew what to change. He changed the screw. He changed the screw with a screwdriver, right? And the problem went away, right? So this is what's called problem identifying, right? You need to be able to identify the problem correctly. And actually, that is the most important step in the invention / problem solving process, right? Now, in the training, there will be, I think there's a video training, which I also gave about survivor bias and all the other different bias. So you can learn more about it by going to those videos, right? Today, I'm just going to go through very fast so that we can spend a little bit more time on the Q&A. Can I have the next slide, please? Right? How do you identify and solve real problems? Next slide. That's the first step. Now, frequently finding or identifying a problem is more important and more difficult than actually finding the solution itself, right? So identifying your problem is actually a lot more difficult. Just like what I gave you the example, solving the problem was very easy. Change the screwdriver. But knowing which screw to change was the most difficult, which nobody could except this one guy, and he charged the most amount. Next slide. Right. And there are a lot of amazing people like Galileo, right? He may not have solved a lot of problems in mathematics and science, but he is attributed to finding the problem, which later scientists like Newton and Einstein and all that were able to solve. But the problem was actually identified by someone like Galileo. So he identified the problem, then it took about 100 years, 200 years, 300 years later, the solution was achieved, right? So again, the importance of finding or understanding and finding the problem. Okay, next. Now, you need to be able to find the questions, the right problem, right? Sorry, to be able to identify a problem, you need to ask right questions at the right time, right? And this, you see, the guy who went and saw the screw, he asked himself, he would ask questions like, is this a mechanical problem or is this a human problem? Is the way the operators were using the factory, was that the problem, or was it a mechanical problem, or was it a part problem? In this case, was a part problem. The screw was a part of the machine, and that was the problem. Sheila, could be a she also, managed to find the right problem to apply his solution. In this case, was the screw. Next slide. Okay, so so this, I'm going to go through about 6 questions that you need to ask, 6 steps on problem identification, or 6 tips, I would say tips. Now, this is not set in goal. It's not, you must not, it's not like this is the only way to do it. No, there are many ways to solve it. This is just one of the way I'm giving you. You can always go to YouTube, or you can go to Google, and type in problem identification, identifying problems and all that, and there were a lot of different methods. But the key to be a good problem identifier is practice, right? As you go through identifying problems day in, day out, you become better and better and better at it. And we hope that, again, in this YIC that you are participating this year, you would practice this and you would use what you have learned through YIC in your daily life until you become an engineer or a lawyer or a doctor or whatever not, right? And use what you have learned today and improve on what you learned today to become an amazing problem solver in the future. And who knows, you may be able to solve major problems facing humanity. Right. So now the first question is always ask multiple questions. Right. There are a lot of whys. The 5 questions are the why, what, where, how, and all that. So all these questions you need to ask. Right. And then you need to continue asking why as well. So let's take why alone. Even the why, you have to ask many whys. So for example, you can ask, let's say the example I gave you now, why the factory is not producing what it did not produce, right? That could be the first why. Second why is, so you've already identified, let's say it's the machine. So then you say, why is the machine not working, right? And then you can ask another why, which is, why is the machine not working like how I want it to work, right? So you can keep asking why. So usually the general rule is, as you go deeper and deeper, you ask many whys, and then when you cannot ask any more whys, that's probably where the real problem is, and you can now look at how to find a solution for the last why that you asked. Okay. Now, number 2 is problem-solving tools, right? So this one, there are a lot of things available to you on the internet. Things like Pareto analysis, SWOT analysis, fishbone diagram. There are many others, right? Tables, graphs, stuff like that. So all these you can use, right? It's called problem-solving tools to be able to come at the solution that, or the problem that you want to solve, the real problem that you want to solve, right? And then consider different perspectives, right? Now, you see, like the first one, you ask the question why. You ask yourself why, right? When you want a different perspective, you ask someone else that same question. So first you ask, why isn't the machine working, right? Then you can also ask an operator, the guy who operates the machine, why isn't this machine working? You can go and ask the manager, why isn't this machine working? Or you can go and ask the owner of the factory, why is this machine not working? Right? So the solution can be different. So if you ask the operator, you might say, why it's not working is because it's not been maintained very well. If you ask the owner, you say, why isn't the machine not working? He may say, oh, we do not have enough money, nor do we have enough budget to maintain the machines, right? So you see the machine has got two. So from an operator's perspective, is not being maintained properly. The parts are old and there's not being used well. So new parts, the new parts have not been replaced. But from the owner's perspective is, I do not have enough money to do this, right? So there are different perspectives, and then you try to solve the problem from the different. So if you're trying to solve it from a managerial point of view, it's put in the money, right? If you want to solve it from the operational point of view, is you regularly maintain it, right? So that is the other types of things that you can looking at different perspective from different stakeholders. Next slide. Okay. Now, number 4 is focus on impact. Prioritizing and identifying problems based on their impact on the stakeholders' goals and objectives. So this particular one is more general. There are certain problems which are important to solve, and there are certain problems which are not so important to solve. So, for example, let's say there's a problem where you cannot produce rice. You are living in a village somewhere, and you cannot, and the main output of the village is rice production. And one of the problems that the village is facing is the rice is not being produced because there's not enough water or something like that. So that is something which is high impact. So it's very important. If they're not able to produce rice in that particular village, then it will impact their lives a lot more. There may be other problems, like for example, like what we had just now, internet suddenly stopped working, right? That's another problem, right? So that problem for the guys who produce, so which do you think is more important? If they cannot produce rice, they cannot eat. They cannot produce internet. They cannot go into YouTube and watch their favorite this thing. So I guess both is important, but something is more important, which is you need to eat first, right? So there are certain problems which are more important that needs to be solved, and there are certain problems which are less. They are also important, but they are less important than the other problems. So looking at the perspective, you can look at a problem from the perspective of the impact and the goals and objectives of the particular village. So for the village, what is important for the village, right? Is it rice production or is it internet? If internet is education, so which is important? So you as the guy who wants to solve the problem, you need to be able to prioritize which you want to prioritize. Okay. And number 5 is, once you have identified a problem, it's always a good idea to test your assumptions, right? So you can either do an experiment, right? Or you can ask for feedback, or you can test your hypothesis by doing certain validation exercise, right? The easiest would be to conduct an experiment or ask someone, right? Look, I think in your village, this is a major problem. Do you agree with me? Right? So you can ask the village, right? They may not agree with you. Maybe they may say, the young people may say, no, I don't care about rice. I want internet. The older people say, no, I don't care internet. I want rice, right? So you have to ask and get feedback from the people who would be impacted by the problem that you're going to solve, right? So you have to ask that kind of questions. And then finally, continuous improvement. Let's say once you have already identified a problem, and then you come up with a solution, right? or you come up with two solutions. That's another way. So you can identify one problem, come up with two solutions, and then look at which is the better solution, right? How do you know which is the better solution? Is let's say solution A and solution B. Solution B is able to solve the problem better and cheaper and faster, right? So these are the different types of things you can do. So when that happens, you choose the one which is, of course, cheaper, faster, easier to use, and has got a higher impact, right? So you have to come up with the criteria in how you want your problem on your solution and how they solve your solution. Okay, next slide. I think that's it. I think we can go into Q&A now. Any questions, guys? I need to get in the chat. Okay, let me open the chat. Or just ask lah. Right? Any questions? So either I explained it very well, or so I'm now doing the final step, testing my assumption. So either I explained it very well, or that you understood everything, or you did not understand anything. I explained it so badly, you did not understand anything. So I'm testing my assumption. You know, my problem now is to make you understand what is problem identification. So now I'm testing my assumption. Did you understand it very well, or you did not understand it at all? Right? I mean, yeah. Any questions, guys? Just ask one question, lah. Otherwise, I'll never know whether I explained it very well or did not explain. Okay, we got one. How do we know if our problem is good enough to solve and make a prototype for? Okay, that's a very, very good question. Okay. Now, you know the slide I talked about this. Wait, hold on. Let me ask my laptop. I'm going to get my laptop and look at the presentation instead of going it back. I'll show you which step, right? Now, your question was, how do you know your problem is good enough? Okay, so I'm looking at one of the things you can use is problem solving tools. Okay, number 2 in what I mentioned just now is you can use a SWOT analysis. That's the easiest, actually. If you ask me, compared to Pareto, fishbone diagrams, and all that kind of stuff, to me the easiest is to do a SWOT: strength, weakness, opportunities, and threat. So your solution, let's say you came out with a solution, you must identify what are the strengths of your solution. I mean, how is it better, faster, quicker, cheaper, blah, 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 you know? No, this one. And then you must look at the weakness. Same thing, better, faster, quicker, cheaper, blah, 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 right? So you got the strength and weakness, right? On the strength, right, is there an opportunity? So opportunity here is it easy to implement? Meaning, can it become a business, or can your product become a product, or your solution become a solution that people want to use, right? You can come up with a solution, but do people want to use it, right? So if people want to use it, then you have an opportunity here. The opportunity here is to commercialize it, become a millionaire, or something like this, right? Threat, based on your weakness, you must look at your threat. Threat here would be, is your solution dangerous, right? Has it got side effects? Has it got, it solves a problem, but does it create another problem? So there are a lot of solutions that solves the problem, but creates other problems, right? So that's where your threat comes in. So you do a table. Again, this one, I would strongly urge you to look at SWOT analysis on YouTube or on internet, on Google, and understand how to use SWOT analysis, and then do a SWOT analysis on your solution. Okay. The other thing you can look at is consider different perspectives. So once you have come up with a solution, it is always important, and I'm sure the judges will be very impressed, right? Which we were in, that solution I told you, they came out with a very simple thing. They went and asked. So this solution, remember I told you the solution about the bottle and Velcro and this one, it was a solution for farmers. So they actually went and asked farmers, Uncle, I came up with this, my invention. It is for you, the farmer. Would you use it? They asked the farmers, and they actually videotaped it and they showed the judges. Judges were very impressed, right? So you may want to get their feedback or impressions, or get a different perspective, right? And yeah, and also look at your impact, right? If you have any more, if you think this I did not explain it enough, please do email us and I'll give you more details. Okay, where am I? Good enough, sir. Thank you thoroughly. Okay, well explained. Thank you, sir. Oh, thank you. Ed, you say well explained. Thank you. No marks, extra marks for that. Right? Okay, Siti Halimatun, right? If our problem is approved and successful, do we need to do a prototype? And the budget is for who? By schools. Okay, now, if your proposal is approved, you have to come up with a prototype. But it's not just a prototype. It must be a working prototype, right? It's not a model, right? It must be a working prototype, right? And the budget for it is not borne by us. It's either you come up with your own budget for your prototype, or you can ask the school, or you can ask your parents, or you can get some sponsors to sponsor the prototype, right? As I said, your solution doesn't need to be an expensive solution. I gave the example again about the bottle and the Velcro. That solution only costs 1 ringgit to do. 1 ringgit of 25 US cents, right? That's all. So again, be mindful of your budget when you come up with your proposal. Okay. Follow up. We have a problem, lack of education, but our solution has target audience that is quite small, and there isn't quite a solution for the larger problem that we want to solve. Will the problem solution work? Okay. Now, if I understood your question properly, this is from Emma, right? So let's say the problem is an educational problem. They do not understand math. So you come up with some kind of a tool for them to understand this particular math, or you came up with some kind of a tool for them to understand calculus, right? So this will come under SDG. I can't remember the name of the SDG, but education for all, I think. Yeah. So that's how you would push this, because education for all, those who got a lot of money, or those who do not have enough money, they can also use this tool to be able to learn. So that's the thing. Now, your solution can be targeted. It doesn't need to be a solution that solves the world's problem, right? Like, for example, I told you about the Velcro thing. That one solves the problem for the farmer. And that one also not all farmers, the farmers who produce the nursery. There was another invention. The invention was, I think in Malay they call it tongkat, but I don't know, a cane. A cane for blind people. So it's a special kind of cane for blind people, which has got some kind of a sensor. So if it comes to a certain thing, it will say there's something in front of you, right? And they can put a earphone and they can listen to this thing. So that solution is only for people who cannot see, right? Or there may be a solution that only solves a problem for a particular community in the particular area, right? Also can. So again, it doesn't mean, so there's no marks, like for example, in our criteria, we won't say, oh, your solution solves problem for 1 million people, therefore you get more marks. And your solution only solves a problem for 1,000 people, therefore less marks. There's nothing on that in our criteria. Again, our criteria is about how well you solve the problem, right? So you can have a target. I'm assuming that's your question, right? If I did not answer your question, please follow up the question. Okay, so again, this one comes from a problem identification model perspective. Is you identify your target, who your problem, your solution is going to impact, right? So that is also part of problem identification. Anything else? Am I missing anything? Okay. So I guess that's all I have, I guess. So if you have, okay, let me answer this last question. Like if it's only for people with phones, laptops, will our solution be counted? Yes, right? As I said, it can be very, very targeted, but you must mention when you, in your solution, in the proposal, what your solution is and who, what is the target audience, who the problem is going to solve for. Okay. So again, it doesn't need to, it can be some like people with only laptop or people with this thing, no issue. Emma sent me a direct message, which I don't know how. Emma, you want to ask me a question? Huh? I think that's all. But no worries. If there's any questions I've not been able to answer, or any of us are not able to answer, please do write to us, and we'll try to give you a written reply or a voice note. We can give you a voice note. For YIC, is there any bad problem? From Ed. I don't know what you mean by bad problem, right? You see, all problems are bad. I mean, who lacks problems? You're going to say, this is a good problem, this is a bad problem. No, problems are problems. You get headache, right? You want to solve it, right? I guess maybe bad problem is you solve problem for bad people to do bad things, I guess. So if you solve a problem for bad, like a gangster, become a more efficient gangster, then maybe that's a bad problem to solve. You do not want to solve that problem, right? Let the gangsters find out a way to solve their problems on their own, right? But if you can come up with a solution that prevents people from joining gangs, that's good, right? So that's a reason. Sorry. What I meant is if there is any problem that is considered unqualified for YIC. No, we don't. As long as it's a problem that someone is facing and that problem is worth solving and makes an impact on that particular person that you're going to solve the problem for, then we will accept it, right? And as I said, there's no marks for, my problem solves more, has an impact on more people as opposed to this thing. There's no marks there. It is, again, the whole idea is how you solve the problem, right? So if you only solve a problem for only blind people, and there's another problem that solves a problem for everyone, we would consider both problems equal as far as the judging is concerned. Okay, guys. So maybe I should pass on. Okay, so that was how we solved the problem. We couldn't get the internet, so I had to kick out Dr. Loh from his computer. So now I have to give him back his computer to take over, right? Okay, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yunus. Now moving on to the next session on project planning and project management by Dr. Loh Lee Hian. Over to you, Doctor.
All right. I think everyone can hear me, right? So thank you so much for all the participants who joined this call. And I know that some of you are joining from your home country. So thank you so much for taking all the interest for participating in this Young Inventors Challenge. So my name is Lei Hian. And then I was trained as a neuroscientist during my research years. And currently I'm aspiring to contribute to the growth of biotechnology and life sciences in this Southeast Asia region. I'm so happy to meet all of you online. All right. So as we embark the journey together, we would like to share some toolkits that can help you to manage your invention journey project. So next slide, please. So in this event, when we talk about a project, we define as a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. So the key word here is temporary. This is not for an established process. This is not for routine factory work, but it's just with a limited resources. How are you going to manage this project? Right. Next slide, please. Okay, click. Yeah, right. Click. Yeah. So, okay. So in reality, we have to consider that we have limited resources. For example, in this diagram, we have three factors. We can consider the scope of our project is one of the resources, and then the cost, the money is one of the resources, and also we have limited time. So in real life, we have much more different limitation in resources. So we cannot boil the ocean. We cannot do everything we want based on our liking. That's why we need to define the scope of our project. What are the things that we want to solve? And then we have very clear definition what we want to solve first. And then after that, we move on to understanding what are the limitation of resources that we have. For example, how much money we have, and then how much time we have. By understanding this, we will be able to produce a prototype or a product based on the resources that we have, and then the quality will be matching towards whatever resources that we have. So we can only do our best to our ability based on the limited known resources, and that's why the project management toolkit is very important to help us to define what we want to do and how we should execute our project. The next slide, please. All right. So in this diagram, it is known as the waterfall diagram framework. So this waterfall diagram framework is one of the toolkits that you can find on the internet or open source. This is not the only project management toolkit. There's a lot more. You can find out whatever suits you. But we just want to introduce you the most easiest one to follow. And then this waterfall design diagram framework is like as follow. The first one is requirements. You know what you want to do. Then you design your project. And then based on your design, you implement the project, followed by verification and maintenance. So next slide, please. Okay, so this is the definition. The requirement is what is the problem that you are solving, or what are the solution that you are looking for. Next is the design. Design the solution. You can either write down or draw a diagram or even do some other plannings based on your design. And then next stage is implementation. How are you going to spend your time and resources to produce that prototype that is working for you and your team? And then next is verification. How did you solve your problem and test it in real life? And then if there's testing successful, then you can move on. If not, then you can keep on optimization it. And then finally is maintenance. And how can your solution last for a long time? Is there any optimization steps that can simplify the whole thing? Or is there any way to reduce the cost? So these are the things that fall under maintenance. Right. Next slide, please. So because our most precious resources for a project is actually our time. Therefore, we need to be very clear on our time management and what we can do and what we want to do. These are some tips that we suggest for you. So you can either, after you plan your project design, and then you can work backwards, meaning that you know you have limited time, how much time you want to spend on each segment, and then describe your deliverables very clearly. You know what you want to achieve. And then if the deliverables or the aim is too large, you can splice it into smaller manageable deliverables so that you can use this as one of your targets to help your teammates to achieve smaller deliverables. Then you can delegate it to your teammate as well. Next. So each team member should take responsibility to monitor your progress with your team and your project development. For example, there are some organizations that will start the week with an update and alignment on what they want to do for the whole week. And then on Friday, they will have a debriefing session to know what are the obstacles that they've met and then what they need to handle for next week, and then they can start planning again. So for a project, if you don't look at the plan, so why do you bother? So you always have to come out with a regular report and then monitoring process so that you know that you're on track. So in YIC, we just want to make sure that you are spending your time effectively so that we can get the best prototype that you have in a limited time to the market. Right. Next slide, please. All right. The slide before. So these are some final tips that we want to share with you. So number one, select a team leader or team coordinator or team mentor. Number two, delegate your work between your team members effectively. Number three, regularly meet with your team so that you can come out with implementation plan and among the teams, among the things that you have to solve within the timeline, identifying the problem that you want to solve, brainstorm on possible solutions. Number three is to do research on the concept, whether you can come up with a right solution for the right problem. Number four is gather all necessary information for your invention. And then you can go to the library or go to the internet or even use other tools to help you to find out what's the right solution for your invention or problem. And then if you meet with any obstacles, get support from the right experts for your invention, and then always seek for feedbacks for guidance. So, and last but not least, also prepare the proposal for submission, and then we are here to support you. Please reach out to us if any problem. We are here to support you. From that, I think I have ended my presentation. If you have any questions, happy to support.
Thank you, Dr. Lu. Guys, any question regarding project management or YIC, you can type it in the chat box and we will answer it. We have another 10 minutes for the Q&A session.
Hi everyone. Maybe I just pop in and disturb the conversation for a bit. Just to let you know, right? Along with the Young Inventors Challenge, there will also be a project management competition alongside the YIC. Now, this competition is not a compulsory competition. You know, when I say compulsory, means that for me to proceed with YIC, therefore I need to do this project management competition. It's more of a supporting competition next to the YIC. So while you're doing your Young Inventors Challenge, if you're interested to learn more about project management, this is the competition that you can participate in. And I believe the secretariat, when the time comes, will announce, how do you participate, how do you register, and what are the deadlines, right? So just a reminder, something. This is the project management is something that the project management competition is something after companies after the teams have been shortlisted, right? So sorry for not telling this earlier. Okay, back to the program.
Any questions, guys, on project management or project management competition? Okay, so if there is no questions, we can move on to the next session. Is on Doctor. You want to say anything?
I mean, if you got any general questions, also feel free to ask.
Yeah, you can ask general question as well.
And you can ask some questions which the trainers like Dr. Low or Chair, Mr. Chair or myself, we can try to answer them on the chat itself. So while the training is going on. Okay. So I guess, Manita, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. Dr. Nurain, are you ready? Shall we move on to the next session? So this is the most important part of the training today. So we have our Chief Judge, Dr. Nurain, with us. She will be explaining on how to write a winning proposal. So it's a guideline for you, and she will cover on do's and don'ts and some questions from you as well. So over to you, Doctor.
Hello, hi everyone. Hello, hi.
Yes,
So yeah,
we can hear you.
yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for everyone to participate until this evening, late evening. Still waiting for us patiently. My next topic I'm covering for writing a good proposal and mistake to avoid. However, basically I'm just gonna run through a few examples of some of the proposal that we received previously, and then just to show you the example to show you where is the one that how is it the good proposal, and then we also gonna show you a few proposal that to show those mistake, and then try to avoid those mistake during prepare for your proposal. So yeah, basically how is it? Yeah, so basically writing a proposal, like your proposal basically is a document that you kind of like outline, or like you want to pitch or present your idea to judges of panel. So with this you'll be able to showcase, or like able to persuade them your idea. You want to show them how good is your project, okay, your originality of your invention. As we already mentioned to you, I think, like about the key components that what should be in the proposal. So with that, we have a few questions that we written along with the subcomponents in the how to write your proposal. So more or less, basically, if you're able to answer most of the I think like all the question that we put up regarding the subcomponent that we're gonna like access, or we're gonna judge about in the proposal. So if you manage to answer them like clearly and justify with a good elaboration to those questions, basically you'll be able to, you kind of like having a good proposal lah, writing a good proposal. Okay, so this I'm showing to you a few subcomponent that we going to like looking in the proposal for our YIC. Okay, so we start with like, look at that. First is like you have to address your SDG of your invention. So we mentioned earlier that that you have like about like 17 SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. So for example, like zero hunger, no poverty, no good health, well-being, for example. So you can select a lot more than one. As again, you have to explain and elaborate how your invention is relate or will solve those SDG that you mentioned. Okay, so later on there's a few explanation about like how is it the elaboration. Okay, so the next one is like giving a title for invention. So I'm writing here like you have to be clear, concise, kind of like descriptive about your invention or innovation, and then perhaps you may like highlight the unique features of your invention, like for example, like you were saying that okay, your title will be like adjustable height desk. So it's clearly saying, showing like showing that in the title is already show that your desk is kind of like be able to be adjustable, the height up and down, for example. Okay, another one may be very like unique features, for example, like foldable bicycle with GPS Okay, so from that title, we know that your bicycle is able to be a fold and then it's equipped with a GPS application as well. So, from that title, it's kind of like it's already showing or like forecast, showing what is your product or what is your invention is about. So just make it like very clear and then simple and highlight your invention or your innovation about. Then we have the next components to be looked through. Like for example, then we have like objective, most of the question about like asking what kind of like problem you're solving, what value that you're adding. Then the objectives also. You have to tell whether your solution can be tested or can be demonstrated. The next, in the proposal, we're asking about the theme, the subcomponent of theme. So this is again to answer or like to elaborate the earlier idea thought about relate to the SDG. So here in the theme, you have to elaborate and spell out what are the themes relate to your invention. And then again, since you kind of like showing like in the objective showing a problem that you're going to solve, so in this team you're going to like deep down to spell out who is your beneficiary. So it's much more like a focus who is your target or potential user or customer, okay, who gonna get benefit from whatever problem that you're gonna solve. Okay, then lastly in the team as well, you have to spell out like does your overall invention going to solve those SDG that been identified? So whether, is it match those SDG that you identified earlier, relate or not, or corresponding or not with your invention, or your invention, is it corresponding with the SDG that you identified? Okay. Then next we move on for the in the proposal, you have to tell us the originality of your invention or your innovation. So with this, for example, the question like asking how is your invention being different from the other available invention, and then next is like what makes your proposal idea is unique, or like how's your invention solve the identified problem differently. So in here in originality, usually you may have a existing product. So then in originality, you have the idea to make it the existing product to be better, or to be like, for example, much more cheaper, for example, or much more easier to be built, for example. So in originality, it can be original in the term of like, giving a new idea, or probably enhance the methodology, for example, or cheaper in costing by using different material, or recycle material, for example. So those are the one have to be spelled out, whether your the originality or the differences between if you have the existing product and comparing with the one that you're going to produce or your innovation is about. Okay, so you can able to put like the differences between the existing product and the one that you're going to produce. Or else if you have a like a real original what's that called, original product or innovation without any existing product, so it just go ahead where you have to spell out um how you gonna like trigger or propose this idea, or why is it this idea is unique, for example. So you have to elaborate in this originality part. Okay, then the next subcomponent that we're going to see in a proposal is a description. So in this description, you're gonna tell us how you're gonna describe how your invention or innovation meets your objective. So you have to be corresponding with your objective, with talking about or elaboration about your invention, okay, or your product. And then the question is asking about how it will be implemented in the practical application. So if your product or innovation able to be produced, okay, so how is it the usage in the daily life, or in the real life application, for example? Then it will go to answer the next question: how useful is your invention or innovation? Okay, so you remember just now you already spelled out who is your beneficiaries or your target population or target community, for example, your potential customer, potential user. So you kind of like seeing the impact of your product or innovation. So you have to spell out in the description how useful your innovation or invention. Then number 4 is again with following with that, uh, relate to those is like the benefit from your invention, whether is it just if for example if you have community, or is it meaning like just for environment. So even though like for community, for example in the public community, you may able to spell out who is your target specific user, for example, like even though it's only for general public usage, but then you may able to spell out maybe it's just for people not having microwave, people not having handphone, or people not having internet probably. So those are the much more like specific target user lah. Okay, then number 5 is like, is your proposed a solution based on scientific evidence or scientific fundamental? So this one usually people like describe how they trigger the idea, and then showing that okay the whether is based on the scientific evidence or scientific fundamental. For example, like kinetic theory, or by some chemistry theory, those kind of like idea, how is it the proposed solution based on. Okay, and then the next in the description, you will say you will be asking how is your invention of innovation impact the beneficiaries. So you already spell out who's, or like identify who's your target potential user. So with these you can spell out how does the impact to the beneficiaries, and then again you kind of like stress out the usefulness of your innovation or your invention. So those are in the description about your product or innovation. And lastly, it's about commercialization potential. So when we are doing proposal, so basically it's just like the idea you jot down on the paper or the like document. However, during your producing the innovation and this product, for example, you may able to trigger the question whether your innovation have a potential to make up like upscale to be a real working product. Like for example, does your innovation have the potential to be implemented or to be commercialized? So you may have a future direction where you're going to bring your innovation to the next level. Okay, so asking what is your plan for future? So you have to have that thought along when you are preparing for your proposal. Okay, so this is just like a introduction for talking about what is having in the proposal. So next, we're just gonna look through a few proposal that already been submitted to us previously. Then see how actually those students prepare their proposals. Okay, so here first, straightaway, this is just example of one of the proposal showing for objective. Okay, so basically just now already say that in the objective you should be able to identify identify the problem, and then you should like state your purpose, and then put some value or how to show like what is the distinct or like the uniqueness about your innovation or your invention is about. So although this one is quite very lengthy, the one that been underlined. So basically, this is about overall. This is about a group. They want to produce some It's not some lah. They are going to design a evaporating cooling bodysuit. But then this bodysuit they are going to produce can be worn over the clothing. So meaning uh this is the identified problem. This is because they were saying in their country is the temperature getting high, and then temperature gradients and heat flow rates kind of like increase, especially in certain of the month of the in the certain months. So their invention, they want to propose to design this evaporative cooling bodysuit. So, however, they didn't want to keep changing, or it's kind of like hassle. So they kind of like propose the uniqueness. The suit they're going to produce is will be easy to wear and can be maintained as comfortable and steady, even whether in any other temperature as well. Okay, so they are proposed in their objective, or they highlighted they are going to incorporate some innovative technology and then some advanced material. So for to spell out their objective lah, okay, or the values they added to their innovation or their invention. Okay, so and with this the values added as well, they were saying that it should be minimal size and having a power consumption. So again, the user or the customer with this bodysuit will be comfortable to use this bodysuit even though in a prolonged period. So yeah, so looking at this objective is very like kind of like compact, as they already show to you or like identify the problem, and then they already like state their purpose of producing their invention, and then they also spell out what is their values or their uniqueness in the product they are going to produce. Okay, so the next one, if we go through one by one by the questions, okay, so this is the next another what is it called, another example. It's talking about food, kind of like food apps management. So in this objective, they kind of like answering the question one by one. So looking at this, so if you, as I say, mentioned just now, we really spell out the question. So this student or this group, they kind of like answer it like one by one. For example, first, what problem are you solving? So straight away, they kind of like put there the project address multi-phase or pervasive challenge of food waste. So it's highlighted there is talking about the problem is about food waste. Okay, so with that, they saying that they kind of like recognize improper food storage and management practice. Okay, so with that, they kind of like saying that their aim is to transform or they have intention or to transform consumer behavior and mitigate food spoil, and then kind of like foster more sustainable and resource efficient food. Okay, so here they kind of like identify the problems. Okay, so with the problem, they showcase to us, or that they propose a solution to the problem they already identified. Okay, so that's what you should do in objective. Again, reflected to or following whatever Dr. Yunus already mentioned before. Okay, you identify the problem and you propose a solution for the problem. Okay, then I would say that in objective also we put the value or your with your idea, what is the uniqueness of your solution, for example. Okay, so looking at that, what values are you adding? So they kind of like saying that their invention, okay, kind of like optimizing the process of managing and tracking food item. So they kind of like provide some apps or something like that. Okay, so but then they spell out more like elaborate more what is the uniqueness or value of their solutions. Okay, and then the next one, alas, their questions in the objective: can the solution be tested, prototype, and demonstrated? Apparently, this team is already developed the initial proof of concept prototypes. Okay, so they also kind of like spell out here or like elaborate here in this subcomponents objective. You know, they already kind of like going to enhance their prototype effectively with some integration of, like, for example, a new LED light indicator and etc. So, and also they kind of like mention here they more focus on reducing in size and enhancing the aesthetic of the info magnets and info board. Okay, so so basically in this part of their proposal in subcomponents of objective, you know, they kind of like have a good mark for this subcomponent as mentioned. If you be able to answer and elaborate those questions that have been asked to you, you should be able to get a good marks by having answering or elaboration of those question in these sub components. Okay, any question about objective from the floor before I move on for the next example?
Doctor, there is one they have asked, do we need to cite in our proposal?
Yeah, basically, if you meaning if you have the idea or you quote from someone else citation, you know, or literature, you should have you yes, definitely you have to put some reference from whatever if you taking it from other people writing. Okay? Okay, are you guys clear about the objective?
There is another one I missed. Do we write our proposal in paragraph form or table format?
I think yeah,
Both also can.
usually yeah, usually I think most of them they just put objective and then, you know, without those questions, they're just doing it like a, you know, a paragraph. As I say, since Miss Vanita was saying both also can. If you're answering like this, also can. Yeah, but it's good. It will be good as well if you can do in paragraph. Okay. Yep. Okay, so I move on for the next apa ni subcomponent of the proposal relation to the team or about the team. So here is just an example of this group. They kind of like able to identify the team that they chosen from the SDG. Here they and then they kind of like elaborate and then justify why they chose this SDG for their invention or innovation. Okay, so here they mention what their creation or their innovation. So this group can kind of like innovate a motorcycle helmet. They're able to detect some drowsiness. So with this, they kind of like try to prevent accident. Following with this innovation they are going to produce, they spell out or they identify the SDG is corresponding or related to the product innovation they are producing. Basically, goal number 3, good health and well-being, and goal number 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. So if you look at these, they, as I say, they kind of like elaborate why they chose that SDG, and then how is related to the innovation that they are proposing. Okay, so looking at that, when you say that good health and well-being, so they kind of say that they're utilizing the technology for goal number 3 of the SDG, which is like to reduce some drowsiness during driving, so it can avoid some accidents. Okay, then because this is accident may cause some physical harm, disability. So is relate to the goal number 3. This is because SDG number 3 for good health and well-being. Okay, so goal number 9 is industry and innovation and infrastructure. This is because they kind of like integrate some technology for the detection of the drowsiness while driving or while wearing the motorcycle helmet. So it's much more about like infrastructure industry. They kind of like implementing advanced technology and AI result. So it's much more about the new innovation or new technology in the industry. So they just like spell out or like elaborate the corresponding SDG they chose and then relate to the invention they are producing. Okay, so here, kind of like briefly, if the answering for the question relate to this subcomponent of theme, okay, so looking at that, for example, the question is about what are the theme relates to your inventions, okay? So here in this project is about a clean eat, a kind of like what's it called, like an apps, okay? So it's a production of affordable and clean energy. Okay, so who are your beneficiaries? So looking at that, they are putting as a general public. Okay, general public, it means for everyone basically. But then they kind of like have a target user. Looking at that in this group, they kind of like put their target user basically is for specifically for people who may not have access to microwave or oven to heat up the food. Okay, so whichever that they bring to work or school. Okay, so in generally it can be utilized by for everyone, but they able to identify who are the target user for their innovation or their product. Okay, so then next is the question: does your overall invention solve the SDG that are identified? So looking at that, their SDG they propose or they identified basically good health and well-being. They also put affordable and clean energy, climate action, okay, responsible consumption and production, sustainable cities and community. So they have a few SDG basically they identify, but then they kind of like elaborate how their invention is solving the SDG that they've been identified. Here they spell out their invention kind of like use the kinetic energy to convert it to the electrical energy. So it is matched to the SDG, affordable and clean energy, climate action, okay, sustainable cities and community, okay. Yeah, and plus is about clean eat, so it's much more about good health and well-being as well. So they have a few SDG they already identified, and they managed to relate those SDG identified with their invention. Okay, so any question about this subcomponent of theme for your proposal? I really basically maybe some people were saying which one we should do, whether we will have to identify the SDG first and then we kind of like screw to identify what kind of like problem that available, or identify the problem, then you come up with solutions, or whether you should you should identify problem and then you kind of like match to the SDG, whichever it is, it's up to how your discussion among your group member, because sometimes usually people they discover the problems first. Okay, with the problem they identify, then it's easier to match with the SDG. Okay, however, some people they looking at the 17 SDG, and then they was thinking, oh, which one is kind of like have like a critical problem, or having like much more important problem that they have I mean human have to solve, importantly. Okay, so from following with those identification of the SDG, then they try to get find out what kind of problem they have in this SDG, and then they can like thinking of what solution they want to do or to solve the problem regarding the SDG. So we vice versa, whichever that among your group discussion, yeah, to come up with the ideas. Okay, any question about team before we move on? Okay, since no questions, then yeah, then I move on for the next subcomponent. Yes, talking about originality. So this is a very important because basically for YIC, we want to produce innovators. We want to produce students that love science, that have a critical thinking, want to solve problems in the world, basically, or daily life problems, so we are much more thinking about or concerned about originality. So this is a few questions just now already spelled out in the beginning. So in originality, we are asking about how is your invention being different from other available invention? What makes your proposed idea unique? How does your invention solve the identified problem differently? Uh, Earlier, I've been mentioned to you that you may have a new, you may have existing product, and then you got like thinking that, oh, maybe this product can be changed or to become better, for example, maybe better in time, maybe better in producing that product, maybe better in facilitating the production and etc. Okay, so you may have a existing product that you want to make it better, or if not, you want to produce out of the blue, then you have the unique idea that no one already been produced or come out, then yeah, that is your original. But looking at those are like asking those questions, you should be able to answer those questions. Okay, so as I say, the originality maybe come from how you spell out the unique from your idea, maybe the enhancement of the methodology, or in enhancement of producing the product, changes with a new material, or to make it the cost being cheaper, or and etc. Okay, so looking at these group, they mention about how your invention being different from other invention. Okay, so they were saying that there are like invention differentiate from other available invention through its comprehensive and integrated approaches. So looking at that, they kind of like spell out, oh, their idea is, kind of like having a integrated approach, in the methodology of food management. Okay, so while they were saying they spell out the existing solution may focus into individual component, while they much more their own innovation, much more having a few multiple functionalities of a component. They are looking more, much more looking in the bigger picture into the one system. So here next is question like, what makes your proposed idea unique? So they spell out their idea is unique because it can be used or utilize the familiar household item. Okay, then how does your invention solve the identified problem differently? So they were saying that it's much more focused on prevention rather than dealing the aftermath when it comes to the food waste. So they spell out or they elaborate how actually their invention is much more different from the previous problem that been identified. Okay, so here how they answer their the subcomponent of originality. Next, I'm going to show you actually how some students or group showing or showcase to us how is it their difference, their innovation compared to the previous one. So they are putting into a table what is their differences from the existing product that be already available in the market, for example. So yeah, they're putting a table, for example, their advantages or differences from the one that existing product that available. Okay, so you may able to do this one as well. So it is much more easier to like highlight or to show us the originality or the differences, main differences basically the existing product with the one that you are going to produce or your innovation basically. Okay, so any questions about originality? So if you have like existing product previously, again, those are the one that you should like put reference as well. Okay, so yeah, okay. Next, I move on for a part for description. Okay, subcomponent for description. Okay, here in this part of description, basically you have to kind of or basically overall the whole thing is like very important because you need to persuade or like to show us this is your proposal, to convince us this is your work, and then to convince us, okay, your work or your innovation is unique. Okay, your work in innovation is different from other people. Okay, so the main highlight in your proposal is also in the description. So this is a few questions about description. For example, how does your innovation or invention meet your objective? How it be implemented in practical application? How useful is your invention or innovation? Who will be benefit for invention and innovation? Okay, just now like, is your proposed solution based on scientific evidence? Okay, how does your invention and innovation impact the beneficiaries? Okay, so move back to this description part. Okay, so looking at the first question, how does your invention or innovation meet your objective? Remember in the beginning, you already spell out your objective. In your objective, you mentioned about the problems that you identify. Okay, so then in that, you also like one center, you were saying what you're going to do, or you're telling in the objective, since you identified the problem, so you propose a solution for it. Okay, and then you put some what is your uniqueness about your solution or like value added about your solution. Okay, so here in the description say how does your invention meet your objective? So basically it's kind of like answering or cater back to the objective. So looking at this, for example, the invention was talking about like heat up food just now, right? Okay, so in that is their invention. Okay, so they were saying that how does your invention meet your objective? So here they were saying that they're able to efficiently heat up the food without excess usage of gas, okay, or electricity. Okay, so this is kind of like minimize the environmental impact. Okay, so because previously you already mentioned about, identify the SDG, about the problem, maybe climate changing, blah, 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 things like that. So you just highlighted again in the description, okay? So see here, lastly, they will say this is a step to make a cleaner energy. Okay, so then the next, how would it be implemented in practical application? So I would say that just now we're thinking about commercial, thinking about the practicality. Okay, so looking at this, the group was saying that okay, is a much more like simple spin the second layer of the invention, which is spin the motor, and then kinetic energy is transformed into energy and electrical energy. So it's like briefly they just going to describe what is their invention is about. How is it the methodology or the step one by one? How is their innovation to be utilized in practical application? Okay, so basically they already mentioned about there is a switch to turn on the heating base. Okay, and then they also mentioned that okay, from the kinetic to become kinetic energy to become electrical energy. So for with that, it become a thermal energy, and then with that, it will transfer the food warms up. If you be Rather than you write it out as well, you can also put some diagrammatic as well if you want to make your description much more clearer. Okay, so then how useful is your invention or innovation? So they will say that it will help out those that want to warm up their food in lunchbox a minimal amount of time. So before they really like just mention that who will be benefit. So they will like saying that the uniqueness of their invention and then the usefulness of their invention to their target user. Okay, so meaning whoever that didn't have time, for example. Okay, so why it show benefit, or like why is it can be in the small or amount. Okay, so this is because they not require external heating source. Okay, so they spell out, they elaborate why is it like useful. So next is who will be benefit for your invention or your innovation. So for example, just now a community or environmental. So just now they already mentioned spell out their SDG, okay, climate action, and then good health, for example. Okay, so then looking at that, they know that their target user basically for both community and environment. As mentioned just now, their SDG is covering a few SDG. Okay, so yeah, so they mentioned both community and environment. Okay, so then they elaborate. Okay, if it's a community or people, why is it? Okay, how they benefit. If it's environment, they elaborate why and how. Okay, they going to be in benefit for their invention from their invention. Okay, so the next is your proposed solution is based on scientific evidence or scientific fundamental. So they already mentioned just now from kinetic energy to become electric energy, and then with the thermal energy. So it's much more concept of scientific concept. So on the theme of energy, so they already like identify okay their solution or their innovation is based on scientific concept. Okay, so they able to then they spell out or they elaborate about their theme of energy. Okay, because they identify their scientific concept is about energy, so they just elaborate what is energy about, law of conservation of energy. So they much more put elaboration of the scientific concept. And next is how does your invention or innovation impact the beneficiaries. Okay, so just now they know their target user or target potential beneficiaries. So here they just mentioned that it will assist people who want to heat up their food. So it's much more again to stress out or like highlight the impact of their innovation or invention going to be benefit to those target user or target customer. Okay. So still looking at that, it will be save money, okay, save waste for like reduce waste, for example, save money instead of purchasing food. So they just like saying what is the impact or what is the benefit or usefulness of their innovation and product to the target user. Okay, is there any question about the description? Okay, so I guess as I mentioned, overall in this proposal, basically if you able to answer and elaborate with a good justification of the question that been spelled out here for every subcomponent, basically you should be okay or like having a good written proposal. Next, I'm just gonna like show to you you know you have to like putting some diagrammatic to illustrate what is your idea or your invention. Okay, so if you're looking at this, okay, what is your comment or where you can see from this figure. Okay, looking at this, for example, two space zero waste. Okay, see, this is the title already like very clear and descriptive about the product or innovation, and then it's highlight the uniqueness because it's like zero waste. So what is like unique about this product, or the diagram is about looking at that is very clear to show this is because it's like showing step by step what is their product about or how they've been produced, and then written with some small description about those figures or diagrammatic. Okay, so looking at here as well, okay, figure, hardware or people technology. So they're showing to us what is their innovation or product come together with description or label with to show what is it, for example, like here showing us like the solar. Okay, and then looking here 2 meters, meaning very descriptive to show the measurement of their product or their innovation they're going to propose to us. The length, for example, okay, the measurement. Okay, looking at that, it's a flood detector. Okay, so it's very simple illustration. However, it's a kind of like compact, like straight away we able to like telling us what is the product about. Okay, looking at this a drawing, so schematic diagram of control unit of FIMOS or NA, and then to come together with a drawing illustration of those the product. Looking at that, see, is complete to show us the what is the product or the innovation about. Together with the label to show us the item on the product. Okay, so it's very clear, it's very nice illustration or drawing to show us the judges. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so here is schematic diagram to show is the illustration of how is it the components, and then here is the illustration of the real the product. Okay, not real lah, the product. Okay, so yeah, looking at this just now about the body suit, the earlier that I mentioned. So here is their figure or diagram drawing with their product. So here is the illustration or diagram drawing to show us what is their product about. So they already mentioned just now they have a technology, they have a unique material. So in the drawing, they mention the group kind of like describe or like briefly describe what is the material they're using, how is it the principle, or how is it their process going be happen, or about their product or innovation. Okay, so at glance through, basically following the whatever paragraph or whatever the description they write it before in the proposal in one page, straight away we'll be able to look at what they meant by in the description. Okay, what they meant, the one that they written previously in those proposal. Okay, so here it's very simple, and then straight away we able to imagine how is it actually the product about. Okay. So next, this one, I'm gonna show you basically mistake to avoid in this writing the proposal. If you able to look at this, for example, okay. Just now student was asking whether you want to do it like kind of like answering those question straight away. Yeah, I say yes, you are allowed to, but not as simple as the one that I'm showing to you right now. Looking at this is a mistake that the previous group did, where they didn't not provide detailed explanation. They kind of like answer, but they didn't do elaboration or any justification for the question that been I mean the question that we asked in the proposal. Okay, so looking at that, see what problem are you solving? Using non-eco-friendly material to make things. Just like one sentence without any like elaboration, without any justification. So look at that. What value are you adding? Responsibility. Just answer like that. So this is a big no. Okay, so whoever doing like this, just answer like this. You won't be able to go for the next round. Okay, so it's a really big no. So as I said, yes, you kind of like have to answer those questions, but make sure you elaborate and justify those your answer. Okay. Okay, so this one as well. See, did not provide detailed explanation. Looking at that. Okay, title, biogas, IoT, for example. And then they mentioned the theme, but they didn't see, they didn't elaborate. They didn't um tell us who their target beneficiaries, for example. Okay, looking at originality, this is original from us. Okay, so yes, you can claim that it's original from you, but you have to make studies, okay, whether is there any other product more or less are same as the one that you produce. If you're thinking that there's a similar product, you have to put reference, and then as I said just now, for example, the one that I had just now, they make a comparison. So you put either where you can like enhance or make it the product better. Okay, if you're saying that's original, please make sure that is we as a judges not gonna find it in any other website or like reference. Okay, so here the description, they just like, okay, make it a biogas, clean it, done, that's it. So it didn't spell out or answer those question. In this one also, they didn't make elaboration and justification for their answer. Okay, looking at that, commercial potential is cheaper than fossil gases. Yes, I know you have to think about future, what is your future plan, but you can add more elaboration to whatever you meant. Okay, what is your future plan? How you gonna do it? What is your next step, for example? Okay. Yep. And plus there's no drawing. Okay, so the next one mistake is did not describe what is the actual innovation. So looking at that, we although here, the title of innovation, for example, okay, English is fun zone. Okay, so they have an objective of trying to give every student equality education. Okay, so but then in the description, okay, they spell out they meet their objective, but it was not a very clear what is their actual innovation. Is it a apps application, a website, or textbook or a gadget maybe. So it didn't show, it didn't like elaborate or like describe what is the actual product or your innovation. Okay. However, say that the originality, they admit this is concept is not new, but then they also they also here highlight they have a few benefit from the original idea or concept, but then the whole proposal didn't show to us what is the actual innovation or didn't show to us what is the actual product. Okay, so yeah, this is a big no as well for the proposal. Okay. And how about this one? Did not explain what is the actual product. Okay. So looking at this in the description, so for example, our invention meets our objective. Yes. But then looking at that, they able to identify the potential user. However, it didn't show, I mean, like tell us what is the actual product. We don't even know whether, it's an application, it's a website, or no, again, what is the product about. Okay, here is one of the example. There's a drawing, yes, great, and also label. However, since it's a hand drawing, but it's not that it's not clear for us to see. It was not details. Okay, and then that's it. I think yeah. This is one example. The one of the group did not explain how the invention is relevant to the team. Yes, it mentioned you may able to identify what is your SDG, but there's no elaboration or justification why you choose that SDG and relate to your objectives. Okay, so those are the one that a few mistake that you should avoid in preparation for your proposal. Before I end up my session, is there any question from the floor? Are you guys clear?
Team, any questions on the presentation?
Okay, yeah, I guess everyone should be clear about those. I think that's it for me. Thank you very much for joining me for this session. Hope you be able to follow those like answering the question and provide us with good elaboration for the questions. Yes. Thank you very much, Fatiha. Yes. If any other question beside or this
Okay.
part that you didn't understand further, you may come back to us in the
Yes.
ASTI. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes,
Bye. Thank you.
bye.